We got another video for you guys today. I think yesterday's pots were pretty cool. I've been keeping up with posting, pretty often the shorts on my YouTube, and uh, every once in a while when I have a really fun clip that I like, I'll post it on my Instagram. But pretty exciting stuff is happening. Right now I'm at one of those stages where it's the beginning of a new class time, and so all that really means for me is that I'm kind of in the grind moment, right? Like before I was like walking along, a path and getting to, you know, test out things with the stream and test out things with my videos. But right now I'm in like the long haul. I'm in the middle of the train moving to its next station. And so once I get to that next station, then I can start amping up some other stuff. But for the time being, I'm going to get right into it. So I'll see you guys over there in a second. Green off. And so that's what's allowing us to really project that up forward. Once it starts getting a little bit loose like that, just push your hand a little bit more forward and then you can finish off that pole. And I'm not going to be able to go too crazy with it because it's going to split, but I can do a little bit here and slowly bring that back down. Keep my hand wherever I start feeling that it's wanting to rip. You can see a lot on the bottom, it's going to rip. When the clay is hard, you're kind of front loading a lot of the work. And so here I am, I'm pushing down while this hand is kind of pulling up, right? And then I go back up for another little pull, and then I'm going to bring out the hammer fist and really use your body weight, right? When your clay is getting harder, or you have to work with a lot of clay, your body weight is going to be your best friend. You don't need to be a bodybuilder to move clay. Camera C. So when I'm pushing my hand here, a lot of people will bend their hand out this way, and then you see how it's leaving their palm. I'm keeping my hand forward, and so when I'm pushing this clay out to the rim, it's feeding into this palm, and it's recentering itself, right? And so I'm pushing down ever so slightly, keeping it locked in. Look at that, smooth as glass. Camera B, right? So there you go, you got your hockey puck. Camera C. So I don't know if you all can see, but you can really see my nails clawing at this, right? It's like I'm scratching against a chalkboard, right? And why are we doing that? Why are we like scratching it along? When you have to move this huge chunk of clay, it's way easier to cut through it, right? Imagine it's 3 layers of a cake. It's easier to cut through that bottom layer of that cake instead of moving all 3 layers, right? Because the top 2 layers, if you cut through that first layer, the top 2 layers are just going to follow. And so it's really, all these moments on how to, if your clay isn't moving, it's not necessarily because, it could be if you're like throwing with a brick, really, but it's usually about, where you have your hands set up, and that's going to be manipulating the clay a lot easier or harder depending on where those hands are. Okay, we got one more on the bottom here. Again, with our knuckle around that bottom edge. I'm just taking that knuckle all the way up the side of the pot here. Camera B. There we go. So you guys can really see. And so these poles are really not for height, they're just for equalizing the clay. Once we can get it equalized, we're going to be cooking in a good spot, right? And so here we're going to do our first pole for height. Add a little bit of water. Take my finger right at the bottom, start pushing this clay down ever so slightly. And then you want to ask the clay, hey clay, you got a quest for me, my friend? And the clay's going to say, sure thing, buddy. I got a little bump that you can take to the top of the pot. And we say, oh, great, thank you so much. And so you start peeking out this little bump, right? And you're going to go really slowly up the side of the pot. And you got to think of it as almost like it's like a slug speed going up the side of the pot, right? And I'm right underneath this bump, and I'm waiting for every rotation to go up a little more. Right here I started pinching it a little bit, so I got to be careful here. Go outward a little bit more. Oh, skipped over it, watch. So we go right underneath where we messed up there and continue the pull. Right? And so what happened there is I let up the pressure on the interior, and so it built up a little line of clay, and it wanted to get cut off rather than projected upwards. allow the clay to really take your time and make a rotation. And once you feel it starting to pinch on your fingers there, you know, you can add a little bit of water. Nothing's stopping you from doing that, right? A little water on the inside here. Making it a little bit rounder. Oop. I just want to get this a little bit rounder, right? Project that forward a little bit as we're going up. There we go. Catch it. Kind of impromptu slow-mo. Remember, keep that hand up underneath. Push that down. Project that upwards just a little bit more. Great. Bring the hammer fist down. Use your body weight. And look at that. Right on center we are. It's really all about positioning your hands in the right spot. So here I am pushing down underneath a little bit again. Getting a little bit thin so you can see it's starting to wobble in some spots. But don't be scared. And just finish off your pole. There we go. Look at that, guys. Okay, great. Up a little bit. And we're going to pause. 1 rotation. 2 rotation. 3 rotation. Slow the wheel down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Ooh, we could have done a 7, but we're going to keep it with a 6, and we're going to have just 1 tall. Okay, so we already know it's going to want to collapse on one way more than the other because one of the sides is taller, so we got to keep that in mind as we're generating the pressure down. And when I'm opening this up, I'm keeping it hooked. Look at that, just sit down. And I'm going to go kind of wide with this one. Be gentle. Let it sit. There you go. Okay. And so now we can have some fun with these tendrils. Going up the side of the pot. Have that curl over even. Look at that. Woo! You guys are going to see this one in a second. So curl that up there. Turn over. This one's not as cool. That one's really cool. I like the way that one looked. Anyway, pulling this over. Going right to the top. Curl that around. Pull that off. Nice. Again, curl it around, go up the pot, go up the pot, let it drift out right there, let it hang, nice. Push, 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 pull that off. There we go. And right there, we got pot number 2. Camera B. A little slow-mo. You know, you gotta add some suspense. You gotta have some, I always think like, if making should be brutal sometimes, right? But like you should figure out how to discover little moments that you look forward to when you are making, right? My middle finger, right on that bottom ridge where the base meets the wall. Being very slow, slowly creating a little bump, lifting it right over my finger on the outside. And you can see how I'm just very gently bringing that up. You don't want to go too fast on that bottom, and then once you got it, I mean, that's pretty good. Then you can start cruising with it. And then you can kind of just feel what the clay is saying. You know, there's a limit where if you just give it a couple spins, it's going to go upward. You don't really have to force it to go upward the whole entire time. Alright, there we go. Right to the top edge. Nice. Right to this bottom edge. Take some clay. Project that out ever so slightly. You see how I'm kind of losing it? I'm going to stay with it. Right, don't let it fall. I just went way too thin for this pole. But you can see if you just stick with it. Doesn't mind. And so when I went too thin, my interior fingers started pushing out, and that's what was happening in that middle. So, but we're gonna leave it how it is right now. I'm gonna just go really slow. It's gonna naturally want to twist up, right? I'm gonna get a little bit more water in this edge here. I don't want to do too much at one time. Behind, but look at that, guys. Really trying to do something fun with opening up that top. And so I'll show you guys the inside. Camera C. So you guys can really see what's going on the inside here. This top's a little bit wonky, but I totally don't really mind because I think there's a lot of really cool qualities in this pod right here. I really feel like this one does a good job with that little vortex. There's like a nice looseness here. So here we are, we're gonna pull up this bottom. I feel like this one, if I'm looking at this one, I probably should do the little, okay, here we go. Oh. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Do we keep it like this? I think we got to. If I'm looking at these pots, I'm really thinking that this one right here, I mean, this one has got it going on. There's something about that rip and tear that's framing on that, you know, those middle parts of that veins of the tree going upwards. And I think it has a nice contrast on this bottom part over here where it's just splaying it out and adding to that contrast of form, right? Think of the silhouette of your pots as you're, you know, making them. All right, if I go over to this one here, I think this one, you know, I like the buffer. I think there's something cool. The tendrils go over top of it, but still a little bit more mundane. But something I like about it is that top part is going a little bit wider than what I normally go. So I think that I kind of like that one, so it's not as cylindrical. And then we got the one in the back. And I think this one in the back, it's pretty cool. I think it has a good contrast. Again, the silhouette's pretty nice. I like how wide it goes on the base, and the twist is really nice. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. All the best and strong mentality.